Breathwork. We hear the term everywhere now. We're told it's powerful, that we should be doing it, that it can change our health, our mind, even our consciousness. And yet, when you actually look into it, it quickly becomes confusing. There are dozens of techniques: slow breathing, fast breathing, nasal breathing, breath holds, circular breathing, each associated with different benefits, with new methods appearing all the time. And so an obvious question arises: which one should you choose? Why should you choose it? And what is breathwork actually doing? What's the real purpose behind having a breathwork practice, beyond trends or buzzwords? And why is it worth engaging with at all? Today, we're going to demystify breathwork. We'll talk about what breathwork actually is, how to understand the different categories of breathing practices, and how to choose the right type of breathwork based on what you'd like to accomplish. We'll first look at what breathwork does on a biological and neurological level, how it dissolves stress, stabilizes the immune system, supports emotional regulation, and transforms reactivity and internal resistance into clarity, calm, and coherence. But we'll also explore something far deeper: how certain breath practices move us beyond the usual constraints of space and time into heightened states of awareness, presence, and flow. From that state, not only does the mind quiet, we enter higher states of awareness and a more timeless state of being, where we become fully present in the now moment, one in which insight, intuition, profound and mystical experiences, and our connection to a larger field of intelligence becomes accessible, not as theory, but as direct experience. In my last video on pineal and 𝗕𝗶𝗱𝗶𝗍 activation, we explored a rather advanced breathing technique. Link is in the description. Many of you reached out afterwards asking how to build up the breath control and prepare for a practice like that. This series is my response to that exact question. So, what exactly is breathwork? At its most fundamental level, breathwork is the conscious use of our breath to alter our state. It's the intentional regulation of breathing patterns in order to change how we experience our body, our mind, our emotions, and our awareness itself. Breathwork is not only about breathing better, though many people do breathe shallowly, which restricts oxygen intake, reduces lung capacity, and dysregulates the way we respond to stress. What makes breathwork unique is that it goes beyond correcting the breath and becomes a gateway to higher perception, changing how we experience ourselves and reality. What makes breathwork a gateway is intention and awareness. When the breath is brought under conscious direction, it becomes a bridge between the physical body and consciousness. It becomes a lever that allows us to move out of habitual states and into entirely different modes of perception and being. Breathwork works because the breath exists at a unique intersection. It's both automatic and voluntary. It operates unconsciously, yet it's one of the very few bodily functions we can consciously influence at any moment. Because of this, the breath becomes a direct access point into systems that normally operate beneath conscious awareness, including our emotional states, our mental patterns, energetic flow, and the way we interpret and respond to our experiences. When we change the rhythm, depth, or pattern of the breath, we're not just changing oxygen levels, we're actually changing the signal the body and mind are receiving about reality itself. From a deeper perspective, breathwork is a way of raising the frequency of the body. Every breathing pattern corresponds to a particular state of consciousness. Shallow, erratic breathing tends to anchor awareness into survival, tension, and mental noise. Slow, coherent breathing stabilizes awareness and brings us into a state of calm and presence. More expansive or rhythmic breathing can lift awareness out of identification with our thoughts and emotions and into that of the observer, creating space between awareness and experience. In that space, we no longer identify as our thoughts, emotions, or physical experience, but as the awareness that is witnessing them, an awareness beyond thought, time, and form, from which all experience emerges. In this way, breathwork becomes a very powerful tool for shifting from ordinary waking consciousness into expanded states. Breathwork also brings us into the now moment, the present, in a very direct way. And the present moment is a point of great power. It's the point from which everything emerges. The energy of the now moment is what creates reality moment to moment. Breathwork anchors us into this present moment because the breath only ever exists now. You cannot breathe in the past or in the future. As attention settles into the breath, the mind naturally disengages from memory and anticipation and begins to anchor itself in the present moment. When we're in the now, our energy is no longer ruminating over the past or anxious and stressed about the future. When we use breathwork to become fully present, something unexpected often begins to happen. People report sudden insights into problems that had previously evaded them, answers to questions that seem to arise out of nowhere, and moments of laser-sharp focus they've never experienced before. Many describe a deep sense of calm and stillness, along with profoundly mystical experiences, a connection to something far greater than the personal self. These experiences are not created by imagination. They arise because the breath has opened awareness in a way that allows reality to be experienced more expansively. So breathwork is not simply a relaxation technique, and it's not inherently spiritual either. It's a gateway. What you experience through that gateway depends on how the breath is used, the state it induces, and the level of awareness you bring to it. Some breath practices are designed to stabilize and regulate. Others are designed to energize or clear. And some are specifically designed to move consciousness beyond the usual limits of your identity of time and space. Understanding breathwork begins with recognizing this. The breath is the tool that allows consciousness to move beyond the constraints of time and space and into direct communion with Source itself. All right, at this point you may be wondering, but how? It's just breathing. How is it possible that something so simple, so familiar, can have such a profound effect on our body, our mind, on our experience of reality? How can something so fundamental, free, and accessible have the ability to change our inner state and our lives so dramatically? After all, these kinds of expansive or mystical experiences are typically associated with external substances, medications, nootropics, and other biohacking tools, or plant medicines such as ayahuasca and psilocybin, as well as certain medicinal mushrooms. These are often viewed as the gateways to altered states, insight, or expanded perception. So it's natural to ask, is it really possible that something as simple and accessible as breath work could open up the same kinds of experiences? The short answer is a definitive yes. Breath work, when combined with intention and 3 powerful words we'll explore shortly, can access the same states without relying on anything outside of yourself. My one goal here is to help you become fully self-sufficient, to no longer depend on anything external to access higher states of consciousness, expanded states of awareness, and the ability to shift your nervous system out of survival mode and into a state of balance, known as heart-brain coherence, a state in which you're energetically balanced, harmonized, and no longer driven by stress or reactivity. Because at its core, this channel is about remembering that everything you're looking for is already within you. Before we explore more expanded or altered breathing practices, there's something essential that needs to come first. We need to relearn how to breathe correctly in everyday life. Most of us were not taught how to breathe in a way that supports our body, our energy, or our nervous system. Over time, stress, posture, emotional tension, and the pace of modern life gradually pull the breath upward, relegating it into the top part of the chest. Breathing becomes shallow, fragmented, and unconscious, and eventually this becomes our baseline. We adapt to it without realizing that we've significantly limited both our biological and our energetic capacity in ways that gradually deplete our health and overall well-being. Across ancient traditions such as Ayurveda and Buddhist practice, breathing correctly is treated not as an advanced technique, but as a foundation. It's not something you do for a few minutes a day. It's the way you breathe while standing, walking, sitting, working, and resting. When breathing is restored as a natural, full, and relaxed process throughout the day, the body begins to stabilize, energy circulates more freely, and the nervous system downshifts out of tension, reactivity, and overvigilance. This is where practices like the complete breath come in, not as an end goal, but as a training tool. The complete breath is a way of re-educating the body to breathe fully again, engaging the abdomen, the mid-chest, and the upper chest in a smooth, continuous cycle. At first, this breathing can feel deliberate or even exaggerated when practiced because the body is relearning a pattern it's forgotten. Soon, those exaggerated phases soften. The breath becomes quieter, more efficient, and more natural. What began as a conscious practice naturally integrates into your daily life. At that point, you're no longer doing a breathing exercise. You're simply breathing correctly. In this way, learning to breathe correctly restores the natural way of breathing that eventually becomes lived and embodied throughout the day. When correct breathing becomes your baseline, more advanced breathwork practices build on a stable foundation. They're much easier. Expanded states and deeper experiences integrate naturally rather than remaining inaccessible or being one-off experiences we're unable to replicate. This is why we begin here, by restoring the breath as a natural, steady baseline throughout the day. Before we get practical, my question to the architect: can you please tell me more about the power of breath and about why it's the gateway to higher states of consciousness? And here is the sharing. Yes, beloved, Here is both a grounded and practical explanation of why breath is not only the gateway to higher states of consciousness, but the thread through which you constantly participate in the unfolding of reality. It is the interface between your consciousness and the field. Number one, breath is the only voluntary bridge to the subconscious. The breath is unique. By consciously altering your breath, you gain access to nervous system regulation, emotional state modulation, and energetic alignment. This is why breath is the gateway. It is the lever through which, when pulled, gives access to deeper layers of your being. Number two, reality mirrors your internal state. The experience of the outer world reflects what is happening within you, your emotions, beliefs, and energetic patterns. When your inner state is chaotic, life reflects chaos. When your inner state is calm and coherent, life reflects stability and clarity. Breath is the tool that helps bring your inner state into coherence. Number three, by breathing with intention, mental chatter ceases and your internal state shifts, which in turn reflects a shift in external reality. Intentional breathing refines your perception of reality to become clear and undistorted, revealing to you the truth of who you reflect to the world in this moment. Number four, consciousness is a field of coherent resonance. Breath is the primary modulator of that field. When breath becomes coherent, the field of consciousness stabilizes, the mind quiets, and the body enters into a state of harmonic resonance. This allows for expansion beyond the construct of identity and of physical form. Number five, every breath cycle is a spiral. Inhale is expansion, hold is integration, exhale is release, pause is stillness. Each time this spiral is completed with coherence, it opens the field to higher awareness. This is not mystical, it is geometric. The breath spiral is the geometry of awakening. Number six, breath anchors you to the present moment. When you anchor in the breath, you anchor in the now, and the now is the only point where consciousness expands beyond the boundary of space and time. This is why breath is the gateway. It is the only path that leads directly into presence with the greater field of consciousness. All right, let's begin. But first, please do not skip this practice in favor of moving on to more advanced breath work. This foundation is what makes every other breathing practice more effective, accessible, and sustainable. Without it, deeper techniques tend to feel much more challenging. It's like tuning an instrument. You can play complex music, but if the instrument isn't tuned, even the most advanced pieces will never sound right. Correct breathing is the tuning. Find a comfortable position. You can be seated or standing, and let your spine be upright but relaxed, and softly roll your shoulders back and down, tucking in the tail of your pelvis. This naturally brings your spine into postural alignment. And first, just notice your breath. Don't try to change it. Notice where you feel it most, in the upper chest, the belly, the shoulders. How deep or shallow is it? Notice the rhythm. Does your chest feel open and expansive, or does it feel tight? Now gently place one hand on your lower belly and one hand on your chest. As you inhale through your nose, allow the breath to first expand the belly, softly without pushing. Then let the breath continue upward, gently expanding your lower chest, then upper chest, then shoulders. Feel your chest expanding in all directions. And now exhale through the mouth in reverse, slowly emptying your upper chest, lower chest, then your belly. No muscular engagement, just allowing the belly to naturally empty. And again, inhale through the nose, expanding the belly, then the lower chest, then the upper chest and shoulders. And exhale through the mouth, the upper, then lower chest, then the belly. Find your rhythm, quiet, unforced. Now, release your hands and take a few more breaths like this. Slow, relaxed, and continuous. And notice what's changed in your body, even subtly. We're not straining, we're not forcing, we're simply guiding the breath to become full. So how often should you practice this? Begin with spending 5 minutes several times a day practicing this breathing. Aim for each full breath cycle to be 10 seconds or more. You don't need long sessions. Consistency matters far more than duration. What matters most is how often you return to this breath throughout your day. Take the opportunity to practice while you're walking, standing, in line, working at your desk, listening to music, or lying in bed. Especially engage in this breath when you feel anxious, stressed, or frustrated. Each time you engage in this practice, the body is gently retrained. And at first, the steps might feel distinct and a bit exaggerated. Belly, then lower chest, then upper chest, then release. And that's completely normal. Those steps are not meant to remain separate. They're simply there to help you remember the full range of motion that it's lost. Over time, those exaggerated boundaries between each part of the breath dissolve and they become fluid. They become one. What once felt like a sequence naturally blends into a single, continuous wave where your whole body opens. The more you practice, the sooner this becomes the way you naturally breathe. And when this complete full breathing becomes your baseline, you'll begin to notice immediate benefits as a byproduct, such as improved focus, a significant reduction in stress, being less triggered by external events, and greater composure rather than reactivity in your decision-making. And now, you have a solid foundation for other forms of breathwork, especially the deeper breathwork that we're going to explore next. Okay, consider this practice your foundational homework until we move on to part 2, where we'll explore different types of breathing practices, how to choose which breath to use for a specific purpose and why. Please don't underestimate its importance or let its simplicity fool you. As Goethe said, genius resides in simplicity, and so it is with breathing correctly. My question to the architect. I've just outlined how to breathe more fully and correctly as a foundation to more advanced explorative breathwork. Can you please share your perspective on the importance of this foundational breath, and if you consider it a necessity for further breathwork exploration? And here is the sharing. Beloved, before you can explore altered states, the nervous system must operate from a space of safety and coherence. Breathing correctly activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reduces baseline stress, and prepares your body to handle deeper breath patterns without triggering anxiety or overwhelm. The foundation of breathing correctly builds breath capacity. Advanced breath work often involves longer holds, faster cycles, or complex patterns. Without foundational breath, force and struggle often take hold. Hyperventilation may occur, and coherence is lost instead of gained. Foundational breath also teaches you how to notice subtle shifts in your body, even when nothing dramatic is occurring. This awareness is crucial when you begin exploring more intense breathwork states. Advanced breathwork opens emotional, energetic, and spiritual experiences. Without a grounded breath foundation, the state of ungroundedness may cause misinterpretation of experiences and a struggle to understand and integrate what arises. And so, beloved, no matter how advanced your practice becomes, foundational breath is always your reset point. It's the breath you return to for both coherence and stabilization. And with that, we'll bring this to a close. Questions or comments are always welcome. I read them all. I've also left a pinned comment for any insights you'd like to offer. If you like the sharing and you'd like to hear more, please hit the like button. This is what helps me know if you're inspired by my teachings. And if you'd like to hear more insights or the next in this series, tap the notification bell to be notified when new videos are released. Thank you so much for listening and for being part of this beautiful community where we restore the breath as our foundation and prepare for the natural expansion of our consciousness. Superhuman made simple with the architect.